My name is Mark Reed. I am a Professor of Socio-Technical Innovation at Newcastle University, and I am Principal Investigator of the Resilient Dairy Landscapes project. The dairy industry is under pressure like never before. For many years now, there have been low and sometimes negative profit margins. There are growing threats from climate change and huge uncertainty around Brexit. The question we're trying to answer in this project is how can we make the dairy sector both more sustainable and more resilient? Essentially what we're seeking here is a win-win-win for farmers, for the businesses and their supply chains that rely on the produce those farmers provide, and for the environment. The Resilient Dairy Landscapes project is a 4-year project. In addition to Newcastle University, we have researchers from the University of Liverpool and from the University of Leeds, and we're working in collaboration with Nestle, with 3Kiel and business and the community. The project itself starts by trying to understand what the different options or interventions are that could get us this triple win for farmers, for business and for the environment. Old ideas, new ideas, ideas from the science and ideas from the farmers, the local people, the people who have that lived experience of what it is like to live and work and make a living in these environments. We then take these ideas and we test them. Empirically, we are doing measurements on farms of various different types, and we're building these into models. And in particular, we're looking at how these different interventions on farm operate at a landscape scale, how they interact with one another, and how they influence ecosystem services, the benefits that we as society get from nature, and how they influence animal health and welfare.
One of the areas that we are focusing on is looking at the effect of hedgerows, planting new hedgerows, as well as fencing waterways on the supply of different ecosystem services through using natural science, soil science, looking at the effect of those hedgerows and fenced waterways on soil health indicators, as well as on different measures of biodiversity.
Our role in this project is specifically to look at how payments for ecosystem services can affect disease transmission. Infectious diseases are one of the major causes of disease, morbidity and mortality in dairy cattle. Many of those diseases are transmitted by vectors such as flies, midges, ticks and snails. So we're interested to see how changes in the environment can affect the incidence and prevalence of some of those diseases.
So we then take the evidence that comes out of the empirical work on farms and the models built by the teams that are being led by Guy and Diana, and we build them into a much larger systems model. And that enables us now to look at these landscape scales, at the evidence from the empirical work, from their models, at other models that have been published in the literature in the past. We're doing rapid evidence syntheses of all of the evidence that has been published to date of a certain standard that tells us whether or not these interventions apparently work or not. And we take all of that together to build into these big, complex systems models using Bayesian networks. And this then enables us to ask, well, what would happen actually in the real world when you put a bunch of these things together on the same farm or at a landscape scale? Will the benefits from one of these interventions actually cancel out the benefits from another? And may there be some unexpected, unintended consequences? And the beauty of this now is that we can now start to interrogate this evidence base and ask, well, for post-Brexit policy, for example, what if we were to have a policy that incentivized people to do things like this? What would we expect to be the outcomes of that at a landscape scale? And what might be some of the complexities and the things we wouldn't expect if we were to just look at empirical evidence from farms from one particular intervention? That then means that we are able to provide advice, not only to government but to farmers and to companies like Nestlé, who are looking at how they can secure their supply chains over the long term in the face of climate change.
So I'm really excited about the Landscape Enterprise Network, i.e. LENS, and how it can be used to deliver positive outcomes both from an agri-food systems perspective but also from an environmental and social perspective, helping to deliver collaborative investment and support in making those positive outcomes occur. The Global Food Security Programme is really crucial, and particularly its Resilient Dairy Landscapes Programme, in terms of understanding and validating how LENS can deliver those outcomes and actually providing some real academic rigour in assessing those outcomes and making them investable.
I enjoy being a farmer for two reasons. One is I just love the job, and I think it's more of a way of life actually than a business, but it's got to be a business. It is a business and it has to pay. I enjoy it as well because I feel that I'm more in charge of my own destiny than I would be in a lot of jobs. The dairy resilient thing is important for two reasons that I see. One is it gives you a chance to start to mix with people, which I think will make a difference. I'm an NFU member, and with respect, I go to a lot of meetings and talk to people and you get the feeling right off this isn't going to go anywhere. Whereas today, especially this morning, I felt that I was speaking to people that could make a difference to me. It gives you confidence to want to go forward and go to more meetings like this and be part of this.
So the Resilient Dairy Landscapes project is interdisciplinary in its nature. We're working across multiple different scientific disciplines, social science disciplines, and we are working in hand with industry and with farmers. And for me, it's really important that the insights that come from this not only come from the intersections between these different research disciplines, so we get a holistic understanding of the evidence that might underpin what we do in these landscapes to become more sustainable and resilient. It is about combining that scientific knowledge with the lived experience of farmers, of businesses, whether they're small or whether they're large, so that we can come up with new ways of doing things. Fundamentally, this is about an industry that is under threat and that will need to adapt and perhaps even transform. Farmers are known for their ability to adapt, but what's happening now is through projects like this, farmers, businesses, NGOs, third sector organisations and researchers are pooling our knowledge, pooling our expertise, pooling the know-why of process-based understanding, theory, models with the know-how of farmers and what actually works on the ground to work out actually how can we sustain people's livelihoods, how can we sustain the supply chains that we need to produce the products and goods that we want to buy in the shops at the same time as protecting the environment upon which all of this depends.